Throwing that out there.
What we got?
So next up, in things that aren't working, apologize if this is the whole show this week, but
that's good.
it's just kind of how the cookie crumbled this week. Paragon is being shut down.
Oh.
So one of the pillars of console MOBA-ing is now gone.
Pillar.
All right, name others besides Smite. Yeah, say.
No, I agree with you. What was the other?
Smite and Battleborn is a very weak one.
I say Battleborn's pretty rough. I was trying to think, what's the one that was on
There was like a Lord of the Rings
Xbox
one for a
for a
second.
while, and then it came over. Maybe it wasn't Smite. It was something else.
You sure? That might have been Smite.
It's gonna bother me. Smite and Paragon came out
Look it
at
up.
the same time. Well, yeah.
Do you have like the power to do that?
Well, I can't remember how to get the stupid. That's not the button.
All right, I'll go over the story while you're doing that.
Yeah.
So Epic Games has announced that it's pulling the plug on free-to-play MOBA Paragon, and the servers will go offline April 26th. Pay no attention to what's happening behind me. The news comes barely a week after the developer's candid post to the Paragon forums in which it cast doubt upon the MOBA's future. At the time, it admitted that it was struggling to achieve, quote, the magical combination of ingredients that make for a sustainable game, end quote, and revealed that the key Paragon staff had already been moved to work on Fortnite. So, Epic, if you have not been playing along at home. So, they released a statement later on, said, quote, it's with heavy hearts we've decided to close down Paragon. After careful consideration and many difficult internal debates, we feel there isn't a clear path for us to grow Paragon into a MOBA that retains enough players to be sustainable, end quote. So, the developer is offering a full refund to every Paragon player for every purchase on any platform. Those on PS4 should create an Epic account and then link it to the game. Once that's done, a refund can be requested on Epic's website, and PC can hit the refund link immediately.
Paladins. That's the one I was thinking of. It kind of looked like Overwatch. It
tells
was like
you how
a MOBA
good it
Overwatch.
is.
Yeah. So I mean, MOBAs. I think the question becomes like, is there really a place for MOBAs on consoles?
They just feel like such a PC thing, and that's probably because of League of Legends. At the end of the day,
I mean, I think that's part of it. I think MOBAs always end up having complicated systems with skill trees and with different functions and upgrades and card system in Paragon when it launched.
like
was
building
awful.
your deck.
It was so terrible.
Yeah,
It
I
was
remember
nasty
I listened to
bad.
a podcast. Andrew, your name, some of you might have heard of her. She's on What's Good Games, and you've probably actually seen her face in GameStop on multiple occasions.
Yep.
But she's on a podcast that I listened to, and she was a big Paragon player. And so like it's one of those things like people that play MOBAs get really into it.
Yeah.
And there's just really no middle ground with that. It's like you're either like really into MOBAs or you're kind of like, yeah, check that out. It's kind of like every other MOBA ever.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you build
Yeah,
your
but it's
character, but they just like, they build their decks and it's like, I know
Right.
this deck, but then they change it. It's like, okay, I got to spend 30 hours getting used to this new deck. And it's like,
Right. The difficult thing you run into with MOBAs is the amount of time you got to spend in a match.
exactly.
You jump in 30 minutes minimum, probably an hour though. Like
Yeah.
normally a good match, competitive, at least an hour. And the idea of console gaming, so I want to pick up and I want to play. I don't have to work at it. I don't want to have to wait to load drivers or change graphical settings. Like I want to
Yeah.
push my button and I want to play and I want to be done when I want to be done. And you can't do that in a MOBA. You just can't. You don't quit halfway through because that's stupid. You don't get any progression. You don't have any fun. That's miserable. So I think it's a mentality issue with like PC gamers. When they sit down, they're committing to sit down for a while.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They sit down in their computer chair, they pull up the game, and that's what they do. So no big deal.
Yeah.
With something like MOBA, it just doesn't, I don't think it translates well to a controller, and I could be
No.
wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me. I'd be glad to be proven wrong. But I just don't think it does. And I don't think it's something, I think it's just the console gamer in general. Obviously, there's going to be people that are different. Like, I really like playing Diablo 3 on the PlayStation. They did a really good job of optimizing that and bringing it to a controller.
Yeah.
Something I didn't think
It
they
felt
could
good
do.
to play.
But just MOBAs just are not, they're not my scene. And so I can't explain why people would want to play them because it just takes way too long. And just, if you suck, like if your team sucks, you're just stuck sucking for half an hour. Like the game's not going to get over any faster.
It's not like playing a match in Call of Duty or Battlefield where it's just like, well, I guess Battlefield is also a half an hour commitment sometimes, but like you get in and you're losing. It's like, well, once you fall behind to a certain point, you're just going to keep losing unless you all just like step it up real hard. But even then, it's easy to get around that if you know what you're
inevitable. Like it's you're just slowing the inevitable. I think I liked Paragon because I loved Unreal Tournament. I loved the Unreal Engine, and it looks like that. It's awesome. I love that look.
That was the third person one, right? Like you walk around. Okay.
and it just
Smite was also third person.
it didn't go well. I think most of the time MOBAs are third person, except like League of Legends.
League of Legends is top down.
down.
It's just that's my like go to
Yeah.
for.
The problem is that Paragon had such a troubled launch because they just wanted to hurry up and get the MOBA out there, right? Just because Smite was getting ready to come out, and we knew that League of Legends was dominating. It's like we want to get something out on consoles right now. Like let's go, and they just rushed it, and it was not a good system. And a year later, they had a big update to revamp everything, and it actually was better than average. But by that time, everybody was done. And every comment, every article you'd see about Paragon, all the comments were like, "Man, I stopped playing this like a year ago. Is it any good now?" It's like that's the problem. It's like you burned yourself with how you started. So I think it's partially MOBAs just don't work on a console on a consistent basis. There's not a big enough audience for it.
No.
And also Paragon just didn't do it right. And I don't know how to tell you how to do a MOBA right. But Paragon just had trouble development. And the really cool thing for me is they're refunding everybody all of their purchases.
That's awesome.
I don't understand how they can do that.
Well, they're Epic. They're also running Fortnite.
Well, that's true. And they also make money from the Unreal Engine.
Exactly. So I don't think Epic's hurting for money.
It's really impressive to do because they don't have to do that.
No, not at all.
Because there's no reason. Honestly, I don't know why they would. To be fair, like they've already got that money. Maybe like recent purchases, maybe like in the last month or two, I could see that. But it's like, well, I bought a costume 2 years ago. You give me that back? Like, that's neat. That's awesome. Really good of them. So good for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, look at the kind of gaming climate we're in right now, where it's like microtransactions, and people were complaining about Destiny because if you bought silver in Destiny 1, you don't get that money back. You don't get to transfer to Destiny 2.
Right.
And so all these games that have microtransactions with no way to get your money back if the game shuts down, and then Epic's like, you know what, let's keep good favor with our fans because we are shutting down a game that there is somewhat of a small dedicated niche audience for. And we don't want to burn those guys when we go to put out another game. So let's just fork up the $100,000 to $200,000 maybe, probably not even that much,
right?
Of like, just hand it back in. We call this one a lesson learned, and we soldier on with the hit we already have in our hands.
Yeah. So go figure. It's
you
sad.
just don't really hear about a MOBA doing super well. Like Smite was kind of a drop in the bucket. Flash in the pan.
Yep. And Battleborn was like a mix between Overwatch and
MOBA.
Say
Battleborn
wasn't very good.
I don't know if it was marketed poorly as much as it was just overshadowed.
It came out at the wrong
Overwatch.
time. Yeah, because everyone thought it was Overwatch, just in Battleborn.
Just Gearbox's version of Overwatch.
And then everyone's like, well, maybe it's a MOBA. And it's like, well, it's not. It's different.
They call it a MOBA.
It's like a hero shooter, right? It's a mix of them, and it just hit at a bad time because people wanted Overwatch in the Gearbox Battleborn style, and it wasn't there. And people wanted League of Legends in the Gearbox Battleborn, and it just didn't work. So.
Yeah, it's just kind of every time you see a MOBA coming out, it's kind of like, well,
yeah.
I mean, sure, I'll try it because it looks cool, but I don't think so. But props to Epic for just kind of doing it the right way,
owning it,
and they're doing
they
good.
Did screw it up for a long time. So they at least are making.
But Epic just has been making some good moves, even with Fortnite, with their cracking down on cheaters and stuff like that. Just like, man, way to go, you guys! Like, way to not be EA and just be awesome right now.
It's good. Epic has turned the company around and done really good. They're really good at just working with their consumers. Their Fortnite developers are just killing it with their constant updates and just developer stuff going on all the time. They're always doing new stuff in the games that they honestly don't have to. They're basically printing their own money with it. So who knows? It's very cool though.
It is cool. Speaking of cool, that's it for the show this week. Transitions have not been on this week.
That's all right. That's all right.
Speaking of cool, this show's finally over. You can turn it off.
If you guys are looking for the drop or what's new this week, there wasn't really much this week.
Yeah, we didn't put any of it in.
We're going to add some next week. We'll get back into it. We'll do more stuff next week. It just was kind of a weird week for everybody.
It's the beginning of the year in gaming, and so people are kind of getting their wheels turning after
everything just starts
holiday
a
break,
slow,
including us. So it's just one of those things. It's how it goes. But guys, make sure you follow us on Twitter at IRGames. Did mention at the top of the show. But we'll put out updates. We'll tweet out links for videos and interesting articles and funny jokes came up with either by James or Google, and it's a good time. Head over there.
Indeed.
Give us the follow. Also subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends.
Please do.
You know you want to. That's why this works. We'll see you next week, guys.
See you guys.
Bye. Guys, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, click up here to subscribe to the channel. We do this every week. And if you want to see more videos, click down here for a playlist.